Alright guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one we are doing another out and about video, and as you can see behind me we're at one of my favourite places in the world. So we are at Flæsketorget, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but probably not because Danish pronunciation is just a little bit mental. And we are going to have a little look at Warpigs, the collaboration brew pub between Mikkeller, the famous Danish gypsy brewery, and Floyds Brewing, who are from Münster in Indiana over in the US, very close to Chicago. I've been here many times, love this place. We'll do as we always do. We'll go in, we'll have a little look at the tap lists, the menu as well of course, and we'll do some tastings and stuff, and I'll let you see the food and things. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this one. This video has been a long time coming, so finally getting around to it. Hope you enjoy this one, guys. Alright guys, so yeah, just to let you see the outside there, you can see Mikkeller, 3 Floyds, Warpigs, and yeah, it's quite a big place. Down there used to be the Mikkeller general store, but that is now closed, which I discovered the last time I came for a little walkabout down here. But yeah, here you can see Flæsketorget. There's some really good restaurants and things here. It used to be an old kind of meat packing area, fish market sort of thing, but they've regenerated it all, and this is something they're really good at in Scandinavia, of course. So yeah, really cool part of Copenhagen this, and of course along the other way you've got Kiosk. Over that way, if you go out, you also have the Fermentoren bar as well. But yeah, you go in, here's your entrance. Let's look at this. And yeah, it's still got that old kind of factory sort of vibe to it, which is really cool. So yeah, as you can see, there's the kitchen and stuff there, the bar over here, and you know, it's very kind of raw and stuff. It really is just very nice. Of course, you can sit outside, but the weather in October this time isn't so great. But you can see here they've got their kind of VIP room as well, which is really cool. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. You can see up the back is the Brew Pub, of course. So as I say, this is like a fully functioning brewery, which is cool. There you can see your mash tun and kettles and things like this. So yeah, very cool actually. And there of course you've got your Warpigs Brewpub symbol, which is great. So yeah, very nice, very nice. And here you can see my little cousin and his girlfriend Michelle being antisocial on their phones. Michelle's nice, he's an arsehole. But yeah, but we've been stuffing our faces, so you'll see a few tastings in a second. Alright then guys, well, first beer tasting then here at Warpigs Brewpub. So the first beer I went for to have with the food was the Pearly Gates Pilsner. Comes in at 5% ABV, just a nice way to start off. I'm going to do a few tastings, of course, a few different styles, because I want this video to kind of really show you what the Warpigs beer is all about. So you have to go with a lager beer. As I always say, to get to know a brewery you need a lager beer, you need an IPA, usually a New England on the West Coast if you can, something a bit more brown, sugary and malty, and an Imperial Stout. So we're going to have a look at all of those today, I think. But yeah, Pearly Gates Pilsner, 5% ABV. In terms of appearance, exactly what you'd expect. Lovely, bright, kind of golden colour, bit of natural haze to it. When it poured, about a half finger of a frothy, I would have said cream coloured head there. But looks the part, not too much visible carbonation there. But yeah, it does look very nice, I have to say, and exactly what you would expect for a Pilsner beer. So yeah, happy with that. So let's have a look at the aroma and see how we go. Yeah, it actually smells like quite a kind of almost creamy Pilsner. It smells a little bit more like a kind of Czech Pilsen, if you like. So a little bit more of that kind of bready, yeasty sort of thing going on with it. A little bit like Pilsner Urquell, but maybe not quite as forward in the hops actually. So yeah, you can smell that lovely soft kind of white ready backbone to it. As I say, a little bit of that kind of creamy element in there almost, which is interesting. Love Pilsner Urquell, one of my go-to beers, definitely. But yeah, certainly a little bit of sweetness in there. You get a little bit of that McVitie's digestive, biscuity, grainy sort of thing. And yeah, a little bit of a, you know, you can feel that sort of wet, white bready note, bit of bread crust. McVitie's digestive biscuit. It's quite a straight shooting one, this. I think this is going to be one of these beers that is quite high in authenticity, and that's what I like in a Pilsner beer. I want them to be like the ones you'll have in Germany or in the Czech Republic. So yeah, this smells nice on the malty side of things, and the malt base is critical for a Pilsner in my opinion. But on the hoppy side of the beer, little teeny bit of smooth earthiness in there, You can smell a nice kind of quite bright floral note, but I get quite a lot of grassiness off this one. I wouldn't describe it as a zesty grassiness, but a nice kind of smooth, wet grassiness. But on the fruity side of things, it's kind of what you'd expect. You get a little bit of that apricot, you know, a little bit of an oily pear, apple-y sort of thing, and then the grassy esters. Exactly what you'd expect from a Pilsner in terms of aroma. Let's have a taste of this then. Pearly Gates, 5% Pilsner from Warpigs. That's really damn good actually. First impression, really nice and smooth, a little bit of wetness to it. I really like what this beer has going on. Yeah, this is lovely. Nice, smooth, slick Pilsner. It's more like a Czech Pilsen than a German Pilsner. The German ones, remember, are always a bit kind of crisper and slightly drier. The Czech ones tend to be a little bit smoother. This is very nice. So, malt base is kind of what you'd expect. Lovely, a little bit of bread crust across the middle and the back third of your palate. You can feel a bit of the smoother kind of wet white bread sitting on top of that. It gives you an almost kind of creamy character. It is actually very like Pilsner Urquell in that way. It gives you that lovely smooth kind of creaminess. You get a bit more of the yeasty character on the back of the tongue, but then right in the dead centre of your palate you can feel some nice McVitie's digestive biscuit, you know, it's a little bit of sweetness there, and that gets a little bit more grainy as you go out towards the edge of your palate. But on the hoppy side of things, again, it's what you'd expect. I'm not sure exactly what hops they'll have used in this one, but it's not the most hoppy and bitter of Pilsners. More smooth, like I say. But back corners of the palate, there is a little touch of earthiness there. As you come further forward, it's a little bit smooth and herbal. Front corners of the palate, a little bit floral and aromatic. But again, as I say, not too spicy or anything like that. And round the front curve of the tongue, it's a little bit more kind of light and grassy in a sense. So I really like how that goes together. Green component is very nice. Front third of your palate where you get that nice fruity oily bubble, again it's what you'd expect. You've got a little bit of that kind of dried sultana, apricot-y sort of thing at the back of the palate, or at the back of that front third of your palate, sorry. Then on top of that you get a wee bit of a more kind of, you get a little bit more of a kind of oily peary thing as you come further forward, maybe a wee touch of a spicy apple. But yeah, they've just started up one of the brewery machines, so I do apologise for that, but we're nearly done anyway, so yeah. But yeah, a little bit of a sultana, peary, apple-y sort of thing out of this one, but the apple isn't too sharp, it's just kind of smooth, more peary and sultana-like, this beer for me. But mouthfeel-wise, as I said, it's actually to the top end, of light-bodied. A little bit more oily, carbonation's very, very smooth. In terms of hoppy bitterness, I think this is, you know, like 20 IBUs or something like that, maybe not even that. So, low bitterness Pilsner, this one. Malt base is lovely and smooth and creamy, a little bit of sweetness. And yeah, the fruits are a little bit more oily, but really nice Pilsner, this one. Pearly Gates, 5% from Warpigs. Let's leave it at that for this one, and we'll see what comes up next. As I say, a few more tastings to come, but that's number one done. So guys, yeah, just to let you have a proper look at the kind of food menu here. So yeah, brisket, beef ribs, hot link, special link, spare ribs, pulled pork, a half chicken, Texas smørrebrød. You can buy them in a £1/4, a £1/2 and £1. So to me that's just, you know, really really odd getting used to the American measurements, but you know, this is co-owned by 3 Floyds, so why not? You can see they've got some snacks in there, hush puppies, to cheese, southern fried shrimp, cheddar cheese, pork rinds. Yeah, it's pretty good. The trooper tray, which is good. And then over here you've got the sides. So yeah, the mac and cheese, burned baked beans, traditional coleslaw, mixed salad, pecan pie, all of these kind of things. And they've also got beef jerky as well, which I've had in the past. It's very good. But yeah, very nice food menu here at Warpigs, and that's what it's all about. It's just very, very good. They don't seem to have the pork shoulder that I used to have though, which I was a bit surprised about, but hey ho, there we go. Alright guys, so this is what we went for from the menu, the trooper tray. So 170 Danish kroner, we got a £1/4 link sausage, a £1/4 ribs, £1/4 of pulled pork, then we got some sort of bean thing. I can't remember, not quite sure exactly what this will be, but then we got the mac and cheese, and the mac and cheese here is just ridiculous. But yeah, 170 Danish kroner, that's probably somewhere in the region of like 22 euros or something, so a wee bit pricey, but you know, you do get good stuff here. So yeah, the Trooper tray, why not? Alright guys, so yeah, one of the big things about Warpigs is they do a lot of their own sauces. So here you can see Carolina Gold, sweet mustard based sauce. This one, Alabama creamy barbecue. Kansas City, which is my favourite one, a sweet barbecue. Then they've got the Texas barbecue, which is hot and spicy. So yeah, you can actually buy these sauces and take them away. So you can try that if you like. Alright guys, well, time for tasting number 2 then. So for tasting number 2, we are going to have a look at Frank the Tank, which comes in at 5.3% ABV, and this one was listed as an APA. So as you can tell from the appearance, this one is a New England APA. Now, I was actually going to go for one of the other beers, but this one was recommended to me by my friend Andreas, who used to run the blog Ölresan in Sweden, and he always told me this was one of his favourite Warpigs beers. So I saw it, I remembered the name, and I just kind of thought, well, you know, we have to have a look at this one then. So yeah, 5.3% American Pale Ale, obviously a New England Pale Ale. You can see lovely bright yellow mango juicy colour. When it poured, it had about a half finger of a frothy, I would have said cream coloured head, fading away to just be a very sort of thin kind of foamy layer. But yeah, lovely level of haze on this one. It looks absolutely great. I actually thought this was going to be a West Coast American Pale Ale, but yeah, it looks pretty damn good, I have to say. So let's look at the aroma and just see how we go. So yeah, aroma wise, it smells really nice. It's got, you can smell on the malty side of things, you can smell that lovely soft white ready base. I get a lot of oaty creaminess out of this one actually. There's a lovely kind of oaty smoothness to it, a little bit of wheaty bitiness as well, and you get a little bit of wheaty bitiness at the back of the nose, but lovely kind of smooth oatiness. Like I say, the maltiness in this is lovely. It's just really smooth, very inviting. On the hoppy side of things, you've got a little bit of on the green component. There's a little teeny touch of earthiness, but it's got a really nice kind of bright floral quality to it. This one, it's not too spicy, not too not too spicy, not too deep, if that makes sense. It's not too dank. It's just a lovely kind of inviting, bright floral aromaticity. Nice little bit of kind of wet grassiness to it as well, which I really like. So yeah, on the fruity side of things, I've got a feeling that this could be a little bit of Simcoe and Mosaic or something like this, because there's a really lovely soft, juicy, there's a really soft kind of creamy passion fruit and mango out of this one. So I think Simcoe, maybe Victoria's Secret would be the other one, and then it's got just a little bit of a kind of, it's got a little bit of a sort of tangerine orangey type vibe to it, this beer. So yeah, it goes together just really nicely in that sense. So yeah, lovely, juicy, light tangerine orangey character, and the fruits to me smell soft and juicy rather than kind of big and oily, I would say. So I do like how this beer goes about its business, that's for sure. Aroma wise, this is great, but as I say, I thought Frank the Tank was going to be more of a kind of West Coast type American Pale Ale, this one. So yeah, has a few surprises in store for us. But let's have a taste of this one then and see how we go. Frank the Tank, 5.3% APA, obviously a New England Pale Ale. Let's get stuck into this one. Slange, skull, cheers. Ooh, that's really nice. Just a really solid, easy drinker. And what I would say about this one is, it is, you know, because it's a pale ale, you don't get so much in the way of sweetness out of this one. You get a little bit more of a kind of, you get a little bit more of a sort of just breadiness and smoothness and things like that. So I really like how that comes out on this one. So this is a more kind of bready and oaty leaning pale ale, I would say. So yeah, across the middle and the back third of your palate, smooth white bready character. You can feel the wheat just thickening that out, but in the middle third of your palate, you can really feel the thickness of the oats. So I like how that I do like how that goes together in this one. Towards the back of the palate though, definitely a little bit more of a wheaty bitiness, and you can feel that slightly bigger yeasty quality to the beer. So the malty side of things is what you'd expect from a pale ale, but this is to me quite a thick pale ale. I would say definitely quite a thick APA for sure. So on the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, definitely a wee touch of earthiness in there, and that makes me suspect mosaic. As you come further forward, it's a little bit herbal, but as you push towards the kind of front corners of the palate, definitely more floral and aromatic, and it does have a wee touch of spiciness to it, which you don't pick up so much in the aroma, but round the front curve of the palate, definitely lighter and grassy, and a wee touch zesty as well, a nice bright grassiness to the beer. On the fruity side of things then, front third of your palate, the base of that is a soft white red, maybe slightly oaty character. Towards the back of that front third of your palate, it's a little bit more kind of passion fruit. You do get a little bit of the passion fruit coming out of it, and as you move further forward, the passion fruit just mellows out. You maybe get a little bit of apricot there, and as you move into the kind of front the front half of that front third of your tongue, you get a more oily, orangey tangerine note. I really suspect it's either Victoria's Secret, Simcoe, and Mosaic in this. I think that's what's going on in this one, because the tangerine is just nice and soft. It's not like really zesty like Amarillo or anything like that. So I suspect, I think this is a Simcoe Mosaic beer. This one, which is obviously it's a well-tasted mixture of hop that. So yeah, you can see why this one will go down quite well. But this is a lovely New England ale. I need to see if we've got something a bit more West Coasty orientated, I would say. But yeah, this is very good. Mouthfeel wise, I'd say this is right in the middle of the spectrum, but for an APA, when you consider it's a pale ale and only 5.3%, I think the mouthfeel of this one is actually quite thick. This would stand up well against, 7% New England IPAs actually. I find this one pretty damn thick. In terms of the hoppy bitterness and stuff like that, I think it's a fairly standard 30. It doesn't feel any more bitter. The malty base is really kind of smooth and thick, like I said, quite creamy. Then you've got some lovely, just juicy, fruity notes to it, and a good balance between tropical and more citrusy fruits. So yeah, it gets a thumbs up from me, this one. So well done to Warpigs for this one. A solid beer. This, the Frank the Tank 5.3% New England APA. Cheers just now. We'll go on to the next one. Alright guys, so here's your tap list at Warpigs today. It's always changing of course, because it is a proper brew pub and they brew lots of different things. So you can see number 1, Night Moves IPA. They've got a double hands Russian passion fruit APA. That could be quite interesting. Hopfenweiss at number 3, Frank the Tank. That's supposed to be a really good one actually, so I might need to try that. That comes recommended from a friend. One of them sold out. They've got a Keller beer as well, Social Plurality. Love those. Cassiopeia, which that's an APA. Quite a few APAs today. Fringy Tops, Pearly Gates, Agoza as well. The Dog Days Session APA, Warpigs Talus. That could be quite interesting. Speaker Blowout, New England IPA, You Fuck Me Up, Nitro Coffee Stout. That'll be good. Old Fashioned Cocktail, Ancestral Memories, a Rauch beer, so that will need to get tried. A Spontan Sour, Nitro Coffee IPA, then Warpigs Game Night, Spontan Cherry. Those Mikkeller Spontans are awesome. Sky Burial and Smouldering Holes. So yeah, there's a lot of good beers that we need to try here today. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So you'll get some very good tastings out of this video. Alright guys, so beer tasting number 3 then, and this is one that I'm really excited for, because it's a beer that I've wanted to try for a very long time, and I saw it on tap, so making my video, why not? So this particular beer is the Sky Burial. So this one is a barley wine coming in at 11.3% ABV, so it's a little bit of a monster, hence why you get it in the 20 centilitre glass instead of the 40. That would be brutal drinking 400 mils of this, but yeah, it looks really good. So as you can see, it's actually quite a hazy looking barley wine. It's got this lovely sort of mahogany kind of chestnutty colour to it. When it poured, it had about a quarter finger of a frothy kind of creamy, slightly beige coloured head. It looks great, but 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking on the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head. But I mean, yeah, quite a hazy barley wine, this one, which is really interesting. So, yeah, as I've said to you before, you can get two different kinds of barley wines, the English barley wines and the American ones. The American ones tend to be more oily and sweet, and the fruits tend to be a little bit more juicy. The English ones tend to have a little bit more kind of toasty and grainy character and dried fruits, actually. So I'm curious to see what this one has in store, because I have seen this beer in bottles in the likes of Kiosk and things like that. So yeah, I had hoped to get a bottle of this one, but unfortunately haven't managed to yet, but we got it on tap, so that's just as good. So let's look at the aroma and see how we get on. This should be really interesting. Oh, that smells very nice. Yeah, this is ridiculous. So straight away with this beer, it's a mixture of kind of bready and sweet, but you've got some lovely kind of dried fruity characters to it. My first impression is that it might be a little bit more of a kind of English barley wine rather than anything else. So that's interesting. But you can see from the haze as well, that does make me wonder, is it supposed to be some kind of New England barley wine or something, or maybe is it just unfiltered? Because I'm sure I saw this beer back in the day and it was clearer than this. So who knows? Yeah. It smells lovely though, so let's break it down. Backbone of this one, you can smell some lovely, smooth, thick, bready character to it. There is a wee bit of bread crust in there, but a big, thick, smooth mix of brown and white bread. There's a lot of caramel to this one. You can smell a little bit of a toastier caramel, a bit of a straight up sweet, oily caramel as well. And I do get quite a little bit of biscuit out of this one. So, yeah, this is pretty damn impressive. Yeah, the more that I smell of it too, the sweeter it gets. I get more and more of that just sweet caramel McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing out of this. It's a beautiful, beautiful smelling beer, this one, I have to say, on the malty side of things. And I do like a barley wine to have a little bit more of that malty presence. But yeah, sweet caramel, a little bit of a toasty brown sugar, lots of kind of McVitie's digestive biscuit, and that's sitting on top of a kind of sweet brown bready, wholemeal bready kind of base. And I would say that the bread is very smooth. It's not grainy like an English barley wine. Remember, the barley wine is basically the big brother of the double IPA, which is interesting. But yeah, on the hoppy side of things then, you get a little bit of earthiness out of it. You do get a nice kind of deep, slightly dank floral character, and there is a wee bit of a kind of wet grassiness to the beer as well. So yeah, I can certainly appreciate that with this one. Yeah, lovely kind of big deep darkiness, so I like that. I would say the fruity character you get out of this one, it has almost got a little bit of a cakey sort of thing. So there's a little bit of a dried kind of figgy quality into this one. That's forming the backbone. I get a wee bit of raisin out of it, some dried kind of pruny, plummy notes, a little bit of a, as I say, that kind of figgy note. And I think Rose, that kind of sums it up, to be honest. It's got a little bit of a black curranty sort of thing too. So yeah, quite a bit of dried fruit off this one. So the fruity character has a mix of the American and the English side of things. So that's interesting too. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we go. This is the Sky Boreal, 11.3% barley wine from Warpigs in Copenhagen. Nearly forgot where I was there. Slange. Oh, that's lovely. And I've just heard Sum 41 come on the music as well. That's a bit of a blast from the past, that, eh? But yeah, this is a really good barley wine. Quite, you know, it is quite old school. You know, even though the haze is in there, this is a proper old school barley wine. A little bit more bready, as I would say, but properly old school. Let's break this down. Middle of your palate, straight away across the middle of your palate, lovely little bit of bread crusty character. You do get a wee touch of that bread crusty grain in there. Big, smooth, kind of brown, wholemeal bready character in there as well. And as I say, very, very smooth beer. And that goes across the middle and the back third of your palate. It gets a bit more grainy and stuff towards the back of your palate too. But then on top of that, you've got a sweet caramel in there. There's a wee bit of a kind of toasty caramel there too. I would say the base of the brown sugars is a little bit more toasty, but in the dead centre of your palate you can feel it's a wee bit more caramelised. Barley wines can undergo longer boils, of course, you know, like 4 to 6 hours, things like this. So you do get a wee bit of that kind of leathery brown sugar in the middle of your palate too, but sweet caramel, leathery brown sugar, bit of a toasty brown sugar, and then as you push towards the edge of your palate in the malty part of your tongue, the middle part of your palate, it does have a wee bit more of a McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. So I like that about this one for sure. On the hoppy side of things then, I think we've said everything we need to about the malt base. A little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, you get a little bit of a more kind of herbally character to it, but quite quickly it develops a bit of that stronger floral aromaticity, and it's a bit of a deeper, danker sort of thing. And then round the front curve of the palate, you've got a wet, kind of grassy character to this one. Again, proper old school barley wine. I suspect this might have, like, you know, Chinook, Cascade, these kind of more red fruity hops. So you get a lot of that in this one. But yeah, front third of your palate, you can feel a bit of a bready base there, and on top of that you get the nice oily bubble, a little bit of cakey character as well actually towards the back. But yeah, for me there's a lot of kind of light figgy notes in there, quite a bit of a kind of black currant-y quality as well, so I get quite a lot of black currant. Yeah, the base of the fruity part of the beer, a little bit of a kind of, as I say, figgy note, black currant-y, but you get some of these boozy kind of things out of it as well. It's got that sort of, you know, it's got a bit of a kind of pruny, datey kind of thing to it. You know, that boozy, fruit cakey kind of note. Yeah, so back of that front third, boozy kind of cakey note, prunes, dates, a little bit of fig underneath, an oily kind of black currant-y character in there. And that's what lingers into the aftertaste, the sort of dried cakey fruits, but lovely, lovely beer this. You know, this is a night ender, but I'm going to do another couple of tastings after this, of course, just since it's the video. But yeah, I think that rounds off the tasting part. Mouthfeel wise, yeah, full-bodied beer. Carbonation has a wee bit of Christmas to it, which is interesting. Mouthfeel overall I would describe as being very oily. In terms of bitterness, I think this beer does have a wee bit of bitterness to it, you know, 60 IBUs, some of that, you do get some of that danky notes lingering over there. Malt base is very smooth, a little bit grainy, good bit of a kind of leathery brown sugar, then you've also got those kind of sweeter qualities as well, you do, which is good, and then an oily fruit. But yeah, the Sky Boreal, a beer I've wanted to try for quite a long time, so really nice to be able to try this one for you and review it here on the Warpigs Out and About video. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. 2 more tastings to come. So yeah guys, this is another thing at Warpigs. They've got their own kind of craft soda. So yeah, quite cool. Some interesting flavours. Blueberry, Mexicana Cola, ginger ale, out apparently as well, yeah. Lemonade Fair Trade, lemon lime, root beer flavour, sarsaparilla, nice just Warpig symbol there. Then orange soda, Keenan and Kel, love that shit. Black cherry, and then another Mexicana. So yeah, craft sodas. Alright guys, well, penultimate tasting then here at Warpigs in Copenhagen. So the beer that I'm having a look at this time is the one that I was probably most excited about. So this one is called Ancestral Homelands. It comes in at 5.1% ABV, and it's a Rauch beer. So yeah, not often that you find Rauch beers on tap when you go to brew pubs, but since I saw this one, I couldn't resist. As I've explained on the channel many times before, my whole love of craft beer began with Schlenkerla Spezial in Bamberg, thanks to my German flatmate Daniel. So when I saw this one, I just had to go for it. It was just there. So yeah, a German style smoked lager, basically. So yeah, in terms of colour and appearance for this one, as you can see, it's got that lovely kind of rich mahogany colour when it poured. It had a lovely kind of half finger of ivory head, and that's faded away to just be a thin foamy layer. But yeah, it's a little bit of natural haze to it as well. I'm not sure how well you can see that because of the condensation of the glass, but this camera is awesome, so it looks pretty good. But yeah, lovely, rich kind of mahogany colour to this one. So yeah, kind of everything you would expect of a Rauch beer. You're always going to get a nice kind of mahogany coloured beer out of this. So yeah, I'm really curious to see whether this is more like the kind of lighter drinkable Spezial or whether it's the more kind of saturating Schlenkerla. So let's see how we go with the aroma then. Ooh, right. Now, what's interesting about this one is it smells very, very smooth and very light actually. So first impression might be that it's closer to Spezial. It's interesting. It's almost got the same kind of smoothness to it that the Pilsner had earlier. So that's a really interesting point to make about this one. It could actually just be very unique in its own regard. So yeah, this will be curious. But yeah, backbone of this beer is a lovely kind of woody character. You can smell that in there. Of course, these beers use beech smoked malts. So, you know, they burn the beechwood, they use that to smoke the malt, and it just gives you this lovely meaty kind of character. Remember, Scotch peat malt is a lot more kind of earthy and grassy smoke that you get out of that. But this has got that lovely meaty character. So yeah, lovely woody backbone, some brown bready characters in there. You definitely get that sort of porky, smoky, meaty sort of thing, which is ideal when we're in Warpigs, of course. So you've got that in there mixing in with the wood. Just beautiful, beautiful aroma there. I get a lot more bread crust out of this one the further you go into it as well. But definitely a little touch of sweet caramel in there. Nice bit of a kind of toasty caramel to it as well, but you also get that McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. But overall, I would say this is quite a woody, this is like a really quite woody, smooth Rauch beer rather than anything else. And of course you get different leanings in these. Some of them can be more grainy, some of them can be more brown sugary. I find this one to be like very, very woody and smooth actually. But yeah, just a great, great smelling beer in my mind, this one. It goes together really, really well. On the hoppy side of things, it's what you'd expect. These beers aren't too forward on their hoppy characters. A little bit of earthiness, a little bit of herbal quality, some smooth floral notes in there, but they really take a back seat to the earthiness and the herbal character. A little bit of a wet, grassy note. So yeah, that's what you'd expect too. On the fruity side of things, you know, it's again kind of like a dried pear that you get out of this one, that sultana pear-like quality. You don't get so much of the kind of spicy apple and things that you might get from, say, a Helles or something like that, but yeah, more of a more sort of smooth, dried, peary kind of thing out of this. So yeah, I like how that goes together. The aroma of this is lovely and it smells very, very inviting. But like I say, it reminds me, it's got a little bit more smoke, but not quite as much as the Schlenkerla. It reminds me a little bit more of the Spezial. So yeah, let's try this one and see how we got on then. Remember, these Rauch beers, they originate in Bamberg, Franconia, Northern Bavaria, Germany. So try Schlenkerla or Spezial if you get the chance. But this one is the Ancestral Homelands, 5.1% ABV from Warpigs here in Copenhagen. Yeah, excited for this. Ooh. Now, I'm going to say straight away, this is good, but it's quite different from what we've had before. Yeah, this is a really big, smooth, woody. I think this is one of the woodier Rauch beers that I've had overall. I mean, I don't know how many I've reviewed on the channel now, because we're 3,100 reviews in, but this really strikes me as a very woody Rauch beer. But I love that about it. I love it when you get these different subtleties, and it really makes you appreciate a different part of the flavour. But yeah, big, smooth, sort of beech woody backbone there. You can tell it's beechwood just because of the dryness it has, particularly towards the back third of your palate. But yeah, nice smooth woody notes underneath there. On top of that woody character, you get a little bit of a kind of more harsh bread crusty note there, a little bit of a toasty bread crust, brown bread on top of that, and then within the bread you get all these kind of smoky notes. And I would say the smoky character in this one, it is meaty, as you would expect from kind of Bamberg Rauch malts, but it's a little bit drier, and I think that might just be the woody notes there. But in the centre of your palate, you've got a little circle there, and toasty brown sugars underneath, a bit more of an oily, concentrated brown sugar in the middle. But I don't get so much of the biscuity notes that I was picking up in the. I don't get so much of the biscuity notes that I was picking up in the aroma. So yeah, definitely a little bit more kind of biscuity and things. But yeah, it does lean a little bit towards that sweeter side of things. The more you drink of this, the sweeter and smoother it becomes, and I like that. On the hoppy side of things, back corners of the palate, it's a little bit more, it's got a wee bit of earthiness there. Smoother and herbal as you come further forward, then you do get just a little touch of a very light floral character. It's quite a noble floral character that you get out of this one. But round the front curve of the palate, a wee bit lighter. I almost get a teeny bit of zest out of the grassiness actually, which is quite interesting. But yeah, the green component I think is very, very nice. But let's focus on the fruity side of the beer. Base of the front third of your palate, again a little bit woody, and it's quite dry actually. And on top of that you get the fruity notes. So for me, at the back of that front third of your palate, you know, those dried sultana notes, maybe a teeny little bit of apricot, then you do get a little bit of that kind of peary, oily peary quality coming forward. So yeah, the notes that you get out of this, the fruity notes out of this are very dry, but that's in keeping with the Rauch beer as a style. So yeah, this is one of the woodier and slightly drier Rauch beers that I've come across in all of my time reviewing beer. But I like this. I like ones that have little different things to them. But it just kind of goes to show you the quality of brewing that Warpigs are capable of. But when it's Mikkeller and 3 Floyds that are involved, would you expect any less? That's the $1 million question. But yeah, mouthfeel wise, to round off this one then. Bottom end mid bodied, top end light bodied, smooth carbonation, a little bit oily and slick, and yeah, I think that describes it quite well. The bitterness in this one, there's a bit of a conflation with this one in terms of dryness and bitterness because they kind of intermingle, to be honest with you. So this beer has quite a bit of dry quality to it that you might mistake for bitterness. So I don't know, maybe it's the equivalent to about 40 IBUs, something like that. But the malt leaders would say a good bit of dryness underneath, a bit of smoothness and graininess, and a wee touch of toastiness. So quite a dry Rauch beer, as I said, and the fruits are quite dry in their character as well. But overall, impressed with this one, and really cool to see a different side of the Rauch beer as well, I guess we could say. So yeah, this one was the Ancestral Homelands, 5.1% Rauch beer, another one of Warpig's own beer. So one more tasting for you, then we'll round off the video. Cheers just now, guys. Make sure you check out the Rauch beer. Alright, so just a little quick look at the merch wall before we do our last tasting. So yeah, you can see a few bottles here that you can buy, a few spontans and things. But yeah, some nice t-shirts and stuff like this, which are pretty cool. Oktoberfest, all this kind of thing. Moonbase, Warpigs. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, you can see you can buy all the crowlers and growlers and stuff like this, which is pretty cool, I have to say. Alright guys, so our last tasting then here at Warpigs. So the last beer that we've gone for is at the dark end of the spectrum. I think that's how you should always end things. So this particular beer is called You Fucked Me Up. It's a nitro coffee stout, comes in at 6.8% ABV. So yeah, I don't think I've ever had a nitro stout on tap before, ever. So yeah, this should be quite interesting. But I got a fright when the girl at the bar brought it back to me because I thought it was an imperial stout. I thought it was an imperial coffee stout. And then she came back with this big glass. And as I've said on the channel numerous times, I don't like drinking big volumes of beer. I quite like little tasters and things. So yeah, this is my fourth 400 milliliters in this video. So starting to feel it now. Let's just say that. But yeah, a 6.8% nitro coffee stout. So as you can see, lovely dark ebony rosewood colour, which is what you would expect of the style. One or two little bits of things sticking to the side there, but a lovely, very thick, foamy head which is lingering there. And I would describe the head as being a very, very light, kind of fawny, beige type colour. But you know, for a nitro stout and a coffee stout at that, you wouldn't expect anything less. So let's take a little look at the aroma and see how we go. So aroma wise, this smells like a latte, you know, like a really, really creamy sort of coffee type thing. Getting a lot of that out of this beer, very milky coffee. This smells really nice. What I would say is it's actually quite straight shooting in its aroma. You can smell a little bit of toasty black malt, a wee bit of bread crust, a wee bit of brown bread. Within that you get some kind of light coffee beans, and as I've said to you before, coffee is one of my favourite adjuncts that you can put in beer. You know, you can grow coffee beans in different places, you get different soil profiles, different water profiles. It's like hops, it can just be so diverse in terms of the flavours that it's going to give you. But for me, the coffee bean that you get in this one is a really bright, it's a very bright earthy coffee actually. So yeah, definitely some dry kind of cocoa nib character to this one. You do get a little bit of a bright brown sugary note out of it, but that's quite light, I would say. Then there's a smooth kind of woody character underneath this one as well. So yeah, this has actually got a lot of kind of just brown bready, grainy, bread crusty sort of thing to it. As I say, it's very straightforward in its aroma actually. It smells like a kind of old school English stout. On the hoppy side of things, it's a little touch earthy. Not so much floral character, but I actually get quite a little bit of grassiness out of this. And on the fruity side of things, maybe just a teeny little hint of like a very light figgy sort of thing. I have to say, on the aroma, this beer is not the most pungent thing you're going to come across from Warpigs in a sense. They actually had the smouldering holes on tap, and I thought about getting one of those, but I have had that beer before. I've reviewed it in bottle, and the guy behind the bar recommended this, so I just kind of thought, well, why not? I just wanted to round off with something dark. But I have to say, not the most pungent beer in terms of its aroma, but hopefully it's a good one. So yeah, this is called You Fucked Me Up, a 6.8% nitro coffee stout. Another first here on Rampant Lion Reviews, a nitro coffee stout on tap. But yeah, one of Warpigs' house beers. This is a good one for our final tasting. Slàinte, skål. Oh yeah, that is nice. Now, I've said in reviews before, I'm not the greatest fan of nitro stouts in the can, but on tap I can really see why this works. This is the smoothness you get off of this, and just at the right temperature, it's very, very good. So yeah, I think maybe I need to be a little bit more open-minded when it comes to nitro stouts. Especially if I see them on tap, but you don't see so many nitro beers on tap here in Europe. I think it's maybe more of an American thing, to be quite honest with you. But that is very, very nice. So I'm not disappointed at all that I didn't take the Imperial Stout, the smouldering holes. I'm not disappointed at all that I didn't take that. This is very nice. And I've found this with nitro stouts before, they're a lot more reserved in the aroma than they actually are in the flavour. So you get a big hit of flavour of this one, but quite a reserved aroma. Let's break this down. Middle third, back third of your palate, bit of woodiness underneath. The woodiness gets sweeter as you come further forward, but on top of that, toasty bread crust, smooth brown bread out of this one. In the middle third of your palate, definitely a straight up sweet caramel in the middle of your palate. Bit of a toasty brown sugar as you push further out from that, and as you reach the edges of the palate, you get a little bit more of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is really nice. Now, we've talked about the sweeter side of the beer. We should talk about the coffee beans and the chocolate. So for me, you do get a bit of chocolate of this towards the back of that middle third of your palate. There's some nice chocolatey notes to this beer, and it's a little bit more of a bitter and dry chocolate, which I like. But you can feel that sort of fibrousy coffee bean coming out of this one. Now, for me, the coffee bean is a little bit earthy, but it's also quite aromatic, and it doesn't dominate the flavour of the beer, but it certainly strengthens it. So you can feel the starkness there. Thinking in Swedish again, the strength of the coffee in there is quite nice, but it's still very, very smooth, and that's the nitro. But I have to just say, this is a lovely beer for a 6.8%. This has got a hell of a lot of flavour to it, and it's just, and at the same time, it's very, very smooth and drinkable. So I like this, for sure. Back third of your palate, you do get a little bit of the roasty, toasty black malt out of it. You can feel some of the more brown bready, yeasty notes. But yeah, this goes together really well. But yeah, coffee is quite an earthy, aromatic sort of thing. Maybe a teeny touch of red fruit as well. But let's focus on the hoppy side of things. Back corners of the palate, a little bit of earthiness in there on the hoppy side of things, a bit of a smooth earthiness. As you come further forward, that smooth earthiness spreads forward, you get a little bit of herbal quality, and as you reach the front corners of the palate, it's definitely a little touch floral and aromatic. Round the front curve of the palate, a wee bit lighter and grassy for sure, but the grassiness is quite smooth and quite wet, but you do get a wee touch of zestiness there. But the green component for me is quite nice. Front third of your palate then, the base, bit woody, bit of brown bread there, and on top of that you get that nice bubble where you get the juicy, fruity characters out of the beer. So for me, not really a raisiny note to this one, but a wee bit of an oily plum. As you come further forward, a little bit of figgy note, a little bit of black currant, and then maybe a wee touch of an oily blackberry as you reach the tip of the palate. The fruits for me lean towards the drier side of things, but you certainly do get a wee bit of oiliness out of the fruity character. So yeah, I like that about this beer. I think it is very, very nice. So yeah, on the mouthfeel side of things then, just to round off, what can you say about this? Yeah, for me, it's kind of top end to mid-bodied. Carbonation is very, very, very smooth. That's the thing. With these nitro beers, it's the mouthfeel that's different, so you get this almost kind of slick type note out of them, which is lovely. I love the mouthfeel of this beer. And as I say, nitros in cans wasn't overly enamoured with, but on tap, when you've got a slightly sweeter flavour to them. And I think you get better contrast on tap between the toasty and the sweet side of things. So I think that really works in this beer. So maybe I need to, if I want nitro beers, maybe I need to have them on tap a bit more. But yeah, malt base is very smooth, good balance between kind of smoothness, toastiness, and a little bit of sweetness. Hoppy character. This has only got to be about 40 or 50 IBUs, so there's a bit of bitterness to this. But you've also got some nice dry, fruity notes out of it. But yeah, I like how this beer goes together. So I think this is definitely worth trying. So let's leave it there. This was the You Fucked Me Up 6.8% Nitro Coffee Stout, one of Warpigs' own beers. The last tasting, we'll do as we always do. I'll go outside, give you my final thoughts, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. So yeah, catch you guys in a second. Make sure you try this if you get the chance. But Smouldering Holes, if you see it on the tap. Alcohol's got in my head. If you see it on tap, Smouldering Holes is very good too. Catch you guys in just a second. Alright guys, well, just to round off our little trip to Warpigs then. So as always, I enjoyed myself here. As I've said to you in previous videos, this is one of my favourite places in the world. Great pork, great beer, you can't really go wrong. But yeah, I highly recommend you come and visit this place. It's only about a 5-minute walk or so from the Copenhagen Central train station. I spent, I think, about 475 Danish kroner here, so that translates to roughly about 650, 700 Swedish, so about 70 euros. But to make a video like this, I tried 5 different beers, all of which were very good. I'm not disappointed with that in the slightest. I had a really good time, and it was nice to be here with my cousin, show this place to his girlfriend. It was really fun, and we got to try quite a few different styles. You know, not often do we try a Rauch beer on tap outside of Germany, so that was cool. We tried a Pilsner, a New England Pale Ale, which was highly recommended by a friend, the Rauch beer, the barley wine, and then a nitro coffee stout. So we had a good range of beers in this video, which I very much enjoyed. But yeah, Warpigs, as I say, one of my favourite places in the world. Awesome pork, awesome beer. Just come and check it out, guys. That's all I can really say. So yeah, this was my little out and about video for Warpigs in Flæsktorget, Copenhagen, about 5 minutes walk from Copenhagen Central Railway Station. Come and check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I apologise for my brain farts in the latter parts of the video. It just happens when you've had some very, very nice beer. But see you guys on the next one, and I hope you're enjoying my Copenhagen out and about videos. These have been a long time coming. Slàinte, skål, and cheers.